Okay, so today we are solving a radical equation. You're still radical of, get radical alone on one side of equal sign. So lucky for me, in my example, that's already done. I already have the square root all by itself. In the next one, we won't. But right now, it's all by itself. And then I just think to myself, in this case, it's a square root. How do you undo a square root? You square it. Since I have an equal sign, I can just now square both sides. So I'm going to say undo radical, because it won't always be a square root, right? What if it's a cube root? We're going to have to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to say undo radical by, how should I phrase that then? Raising both sides to the power of the index. Remember what the index was? What's the index of square root of x? It's a 2. It's that little teeny tiny number that lives right there. And if there is no number there, it's a 2. So my index in this case is 2 because it's a square root. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to square both sides. And when I square the square root of x, what do I get on the left-hand side? Just x, and on the right I get 25. And I'm done. And then I guess I'll just say solve. Because they're not always quite this easy. There can be a little bit more math to it. Let's check out number 2. So another example. Number 2 has 2 root x equals 8. Well, according to step 1, I want to get the radical by itself, which means I would do what with this thing? Divide both sides by 2. I cannot stress this enough. So often kids just square both sides and they call it a day. That's actually not technically wrong, but you're probably going to mess up in the way that you do it, so don't do that. Just divide both sides by 2. You get the square root of x equals 4, and then I'm going to raise both sides to what power? To the second again, because I'm doing a square root. So I just get x equals 16. All right, well that's easy enough. Well, let's try one like number 3. Make it a little bit tougher. Number 3 says square root of p squared plus 1 equals 5. What are you going to do with that? First of all, step 1 done. Is the radical alone? Yeah. The radical's by itself, so I'll move on to step 2. Undo the radical by raising both sides to the power of the index. So I square both sides. Yeah, square u, square u. So now I have p squared plus 1 equals 25. And where do you go from here? Yeah, now I just got to solve this thing. So let's minus 1. I've got p squared equals 24. So then I square root both sides. If I'm going to simplify the square root of 24, what perfect square goes into 24? 4. So I'd have square root of 4, square root of 6, so it's really 2 root 6. Is that a good answer? Yes, do not forget, when you take a square root, when you're solving an equation, you need positive and negative. Now, hold on for a minute, because we should have a step 4. If you want, you can always check your answer. That's what's so nice about an equation, is you can actually check to see if these are right. So if I just go back up to, let's just go back up to this one right here. I got 16. If I plug 16 back in, is 2 times the square root of 16 really 8? Yes, it is. So if I check this one, according to this, I should have 2 root 6 should work and negative 2 root 6 should work. Let's try it. So p squared. If p is 2 root 6, I'm going to have 2 root 6 squared plus 1. I want to know if the square root of that really is 5 or not. What is 2 root 6 squared? 4 times. Yeah, right? You'd have 2 times 2, which is 4, and then root 6 times root 6 is just 6. So you have 4 times 6 is 24. 24 plus 1 is 25. Is the square root of 25 5? Now, I have to check negative 2 root 6 also. If I'm going to say that they're both answers, they both better work. So is this true when I check the negative? Is negative 2 root 6 squared plus 1, is that still going to come out to be 5 when I take the square root? Yeah, in this case it is. It's just fine because I'm squaring a negative number. So it comes out to be the same anyway. So they're both good answers. Will you always get 2 good answers or 1 good answer? No. No. You can get what we call extraneous solutions. Let me show you a time when you would. Let's use another piece of paper. Say I asked you this. I don't know. We'll just do it real easy. Square root of x equals negative 4. If you follow my steps here, right, get the radical alone, it is, then what should I do? Square both sides, right? So I got to square u, and I have to square u. That would give me x equals 16. However, is the square root of 16 negative 4? No. This is what we call an extraneous solution. I can't take the square root of some number and get out a negative. So that's actually a little helpful hint. So if you saw anything, say you had something in here, I don't know, 2x plus 1 equals negative 50. This thing doesn't have an answer because I can't take the square root of a number. It's not alone, it has a negative out in front. So I would divide both sides by a negative. I suspect you're going to forget to check, and you're going to do the math anyway, and you're going to give me the answer. But if you would only stop to check and plug it back in, you will see that it doesn't work. All right. They're not all quite this easy. Check out number 7, for example. All right, 7 says square root 4x squared minus 11 equals x plus 8. Let's follow my rules. Step 1, get the radical alone. Is it alone? It's alone. Okay, step 1 is done. Step 2, raise both sides to what power? To the second, right? So I'm going to square u. Now here is the trap where many people fall into. When you square this right-hand side, you have to square the entire right-hand side. The whole thing. So now on my left-hand side, don't I get 4x squared minus 11? Right? Because squaring that square root just cancels itself out. What do you get on the right-hand side? Yeah, you do not get x squared plus 64. You do not. No one said that, did they? You didn't write that down? Good, because remember what this means. This means, can you see it up here? This means x plus 8 times x plus 8. You have to FOIL that together. Right? So that's going to get you x squared plus 8, so that's a plus 16, x plus 64. That's what you get on the right-hand side. That is the most common mistake for ones like this. So I'm going to know those of you that are not paying attention to me right now because you're going to be the ones on the quiz that do that. And I'll be like, oh, remember on Friday, December 9th, how you paid no attention to me in class? This is what happens. Just saying. All right. Where do you go from here now? Now, yeah, I have a quadratic. I just have to solve this thing. So let's get our x squareds together. I'll minus this whole thing to the other side. Minus 16x minus 64. So I really end up with 3x squared minus 16x minus 75. Double check me. Is that right? And then how do you solve this thing? Huh? Yeah, let's try and factor. I can't pull out a 3. Too bad. I wish that thing was a 15, but it's not. So I can try. 3 times 75 is, what, 225? You guys act like I know math or something. Yeah, it is. Oh, good. And then, are there factors of negative 225 that add to be negative 16? I don't know. You tell me. Are there? 5 and 45. Nope. 15 and 15. Nope. Anybody find any? Yeah. Good. 25 and 9. 25. So we'd have a negative 25 and a positive 9. All right. X squared minus 16x minus 225. X minus 25. X plus 9. Since I multiplied by 3 in the beginning, I now need to swoop in and divide by 3. So I got x minus 25 thirds and x plus 3. So my answers are actually what? (25 thirds) negative 3. Hey, that's pretty cool. How'd you do? Why don't you guys try... How would you handle number 9? I'll help you get started and then I'll let you finish it on your own. Number 9, in case you can't read it from the paper, this is what it says. 9 says 4x minus 4, and then plus 4 equals x. You have to subtract the 4 first. You have to get the radical by itself on one side of the equal sign. Then you can square both sides. Do not square both sides at this step. Whoever does that on the quiz, I'm going to know that you weren't paying attention to me. Because if you squared the left-hand side, you'd have to FOIL that together. You want to deal with that? No, I didn't think so. So get as far as you can with this one, minus that 4 over, and then you're going to square both sides. Did you get somewhere? All right, let's see. So first thing, we all agreed we had to minus the 4 to the other side. Now you're gonna do what? Square both sides. So I'm gonna square everything on the left and everything on the right. So the left-hand side now is just 4x minus 4. That's easy. On the right, you got to FOIL that together. So it's going to be an x squared minus 8x plus 16. Agreed? Now, I have a quadratic. I'm just going to solve it. I'll bring everything over to the right-hand side. So I'll minus the 4x and add the 4. So now I'm here. X squared minus 12x plus 20. And now I'll try and factor. Are there factors of 20 that have to be a negative 12? Yeah, lucky us. Negative 10, negative 2. So our answers are 10 and 2. You should be checking these. Let's just pop them in. Especially these are pretty easy ones. Pop that in. 4 times 10 is 40. Minus 4 is 36. The square root of 36 is 6. 6 plus 4. Does that really equal 10? Yes. Okay, let's try 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 4 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. Is 2 plus 4 2? Ooh. Yeah. 2 does not work here. Do you see that? Well, you play. I didn't do my math wrong. My math is perfect for once. That one doesn't work. You have to throw it out. That's one of our extraneous solutions. So it is so important to check because this happens. I didn't do any of my math wrong. They both seem like reasonable answers, but when you plug it back in, it doesn't work, right? 8 minus 4, 2, or I'm sorry, 8 minus 4 is 4, square is 2, 2 plus 4 is 6, not 2. So I gotta get rid of it. Okay? All right.